Hello, I'm Mark Dujsik of MarkReviewsMovies.com.
And I'm Brett Arnold of Yahoo Entertainment and the New Flesh Horror Movies podcast. And this is At the Movies Again, aka Roger and Me, formerly that, and Roger Ebert and Me is another thing you may know it as. We're a weekly movie review podcast that acts as a tribute to Siskel and Ebert, hosted by the two film critics that you just heard introduce themselves. We cover every new theatrical release every Friday, every new streaming release every Friday, every new paid VOD release. Oh, I guess we did skip Soulmate. I forgot about that one. I reviewed that on Letterboxd, I guess. and actually on the New Flesh podcast. But this week we are here with 7 new release movies out in theaters for God. What is the date? The 7th, Friday, August 7th, I believe. The biggest one being, well, the actual biggest one, Mark, is One Night Only, a rom-com set in a fascist future. For some reason, Mark has reviewed the film. It will be posted when the embargo drops, I would imagine. So One Night Only, we're going to catch up with in a week. And we will also catch up with a Netflix movie. What's it called? The Last House, with like Greta Lee and Wagner Moura. Those are 2 movies that, again, I think Mark will have reviews of them on time. I might even have reviews of the Netflix one on Yahoo on time. But for this podcast purposes, One Night Only and Last House will be a week delayed. But for this week, what we have for you, there's a bountiful harvest of movies still. There's so many things. Super Troopers 3, Farva's Wedding. That is the subtitle. I know I just broke news. People had no idea there was a subtitle because they haven't marketed it with one. It has one, and it's Farva's Wedding. Tony, the Anthony Bourdain slice of life, early days biopic. We've got Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, the latest from Jane Schoenbrunn, the filmmaker behind I Saw the TV Glow, a movie I love. We have a new film from Eli Roth, Ice Cream Man. We have a new Kent Jones film written by Sammy Birch of May December fame, a Willem Dafoe starrer, and then Olmo of a foreign film, right? It's not from America, is it? It's like Is it? It's New Mexico. I forgot. It's New Mexico, not Old Mexico. So it's in English, I think, mostly. Am I forgetting one? There's a high profile one. All right, did I say it? I think I said it. Was that 7? We're flailing here. I have no idea what's going on. Cookie Queens, the documentary Cookie Queens, about 4 girls who are part of the Girl Scout cookie selling organization and what that is like. It is a fun documentary. So those are the movies we'll be talking about today. Again, a couple more next week on a delayed tip. What else? What else is going on, Mark?
Not much. We're recording early in case it isn't obvious yet why we're kind of like in limbo on a couple of movies. That's all. We're just recording early.
Recording early because I am out of town for just a few days, back in time for the next one. But yeah, it was actually surprising we happened to have seen most of the things we needed to. If I had known about that damn early access screening of One Night Only, we'd be sitting pretty, but that's okay. I don't think anybody cares that much but me. Although I can't wait to talk about it with Mark based on the review that I may have had a peek at. All right.
It's a movie. It's a movie that will definitely be worth talking about.
Yeah. One Night Only. I wonder if it'll be a hit in theaters. Monica Barbaro, Callum Turner. These are some new age stars. Let's see if they can turn out folks in a way like Sydney and Glenn for Anyone But You. Let's see if it has a run like that. I feel like the memes have become so prevalent that like maybe it will be a hit because people want to see what the Sex Purge movie is all about. That's what people are calling it on Twitter. The Sex Purge, because the premise is just
it is the purge
but with sex. I'm sure that's how they sold it in the room, right? They're like it's the sex purge.
It has to be.
And it's inspired tens of thousands of questions from people on the internet, such as, is the punishment like jail or do they kill you? Like, what? I can't wait to find out if there's answers to these questions. Mark, don't spoil it.
I'm not saying a word. It's going to be good.
Okay. We have Super Troopers 3, maybe the most unexpected sequel of the year in that I feel like it just was thrown on a calendar. I didn't know that it was being made. I know Jay Chandrasekhar has talked about how were probably going to do it because if you remember the second one in 2018, 17 years after the first one, it was crowdfunded and it made for being a crowdfunded indie comedy movie, it made a bunch of money. So I'm not that surprised that we have a sequel. Searchlight made this one. It is not a crowdfunded movie. It has a subtitle that they're not telling you, which I think we can tell you because it's not like a spoiler or anything. The trailer does.
I double checked the NDA and it didn't say anything. So
it's so weird. Yeah. So this is Super Troopers 3. We're breaking news right now. Farva's Wedding. That's the title of the movie. Here's the trailer.
All units respond. We report to a high-speed chase.
I give to you our first electric patrol car.
Fuck electricity. Boom.
Well. If it isn't the old timers passing the torch to the new generation.
You beat my rookie in a foot race? No ticket. Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, go!
Mark, we were not doing this podcast in 2018. So I need to know your opinion. Mostly, I guess I could check the archives. It's right about the wheelhouse where you might have a review of Super Troopers from 2001. It sounds like you do based on the nods I'm seeing. So save me the click. What do you feel about the original movie?
Yeah, I really like doing visual gags for an audio podcast. It's great.
It's one of the great things.
One of the best things ever.
Yes,
one of the best things ever. Go over to YouTube. You can see me nodding furiously that I do have a review of Super Troopers. Yeah, I the original Super Troopers, which I probably haven't watched since the second one came out, like right beforehand. It's got its funny moments. It's more of a bunch of sketches than an actual story, and I was mostly okay with that because some of those stuff was funny. This is definitely, I believe, an issue of diminishing returns because the sequel throws in a lot more story and it's not as funny anymore.
I don't remember almost anything about Super Troopers 2 other than it was really bad and really unfunny is what I remember.
Lots of Canada jokes.
Yeah, okay.
I think. But now I'm wondering if I'm just tapping stuff from the third one into this one.
Yes,
because I found the Canada stuff in this one funnier, and it's only one Canada joke.
Well, the whole idea of like the syrup ring is kind of I like the crime in this one better than whatever was going on in the last one. I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe. I think this one is more built up as a series of sketches than two. But now the question is this stuff still funny 25 years later with these guys really just kind of desperate to cling to the fame and the success that they first got, and like how can we get that back, or how can we keep this going? And you can kind of feel like that's the whole point. And I didn't find a lot of this funny. I think that Broken Lizard is outdone by that electric vehicle from Canada that talks with the weird accent and is trying to protect the trooper from doing something stupid to reclaim his youth, which, I mean, they could have leaned into that. There's an entire subplot. I forgot which one it is. Mac, I believe.
Yeah.
Is trying to, played by Steve Lem, is trying to recapture his old glory by jumping a creek that he used to jump in high school. And he's also trying to come up with new pranks that are a lot like the older pranks. And I mean, they could have leaned into that a little bit more. Like, we really are trying to figure out what we're doing here, and we don't know if we can do it anymore, but we're going to try. And I would have maybe at least admired that. But man, we haven't even talked about the main plot yet.
Well, we alluded to it with the subtitle.
Yeah, the subtitle. Yes. I'm mainly just kind of dismayed by how desperate this movie feels to try to do all that.
That's how I remember feeling about the second one, and I definitely felt like that for, I would say, most of the runtime of this movie. The third one, Super Troopers 3, Farva's Wedding. But I don't know, Mark. It did kind of win me over by the end. I can't really explain why. Like, it is as desperate as you're saying. Like, it does have that just empty references to the original as if that's a joke. Like when the woman in the opening scene is getting pulled over, who ends up being Farva's future wife, and she said, "I can't pull over. I'm already pulled over. I can't pull over any farther." Like that's just a line from the original that has become iconic if you are a fan. And it's not like they're doing anything new with that. They're just saying it again. And what you're talking about with the pranks and stuff that they do, like one of the best ones from the original is the meow gag with Jim Gaffigan, where they keep saying meow and they are fucking with him, and they just do that again with what is it? Here's the dildo, or here's the dildo. Like it's not. It is. You're
Here's
right.
the deal. Here's the
Yeah.
deal, though, and that
Yeah.
it's such a stretch.
It is, and like the weed heads that they busted from the original, I think, are the bad guys, right? Like there's like it feels like, Mark, it is a course correction. I'm speaking maybe out of my ass because I do not remember the second one. It was so bad I like put it out of my memory. But this feels like the hastily assembled legacy sequel after 20 years that they probably wanted for the last one, but it whatever reason didn't come off that way, or maybe it did. I just don't remember. But this one has like new characters that are like young and they're the new ones, and I love the dynamic they have with the new captain who they refuse to call captain. Like there's a few things I was like charmed by, but it is just like you're watching these guys who had a hit 25 years ago now, an indie hit. Like a comedy troupe made a cheap movie and it made, probably 20 or 30 million, I think, or something, but that was astronomical because it cost nothing. So that's how they made a career of it. And J. Chandrasekhar, I think, is a very interesting, funny person. If I am shouting out Broken Lizard, I'm going to say I'm a huge fan of Club Dread, and I wish that they would have made a Club Dread 2 before they made a Super Troopers 3, but Club Dread was nowhere near the hit that the Super Troopers is. Super Troopers is kind of all they have. Like, they made that, right? And then it's Super Troopers, Club Dread. Oh, Beer Fest was another big-ish one from them, I guess. And then I feel like they had like a straight-to-video thing with the Slam and Salmon that didn't get a real release. I don't know. It does feel like with Super Troopers 2 and 3, they're just clinging to what worked and trying to wring some more money out of it because I think he's even said on a podcast, like the property is just super valuable and Disney owns it now. So he's like, Disney wants to make another one because they know that there's money to be made. So like, even though it's a small scale movie that's not going to make a dent at the box office, it still makes financial sense to make this movie. And like, I don't begrudge them. I did laugh. By the end, I was laughing more than I was at the beginning, is what I'll say. I think it gets sillier and more fun as it goes. It's just like so broad, right? It's like a sister marrying the Farva comedy. Like that. The joke is J. Chandrasekhar's character, whose name I don't remember. Why don't I remember his name? I've seen 3 of these movies over the course of these.
Because they're not characters. They're
just
there to do the gags. That's all it is.
Yeah, J.
Chandrasekhar.
Thorny. Yeah, Thorny's sister.
I did look it up. I didn't remember it. I looked it up just while you were doing it.
Thank you.
I just want to point that out.
Thorny's sister, who's played by Hannah Simone from New Girl, is saved by Farva and then like falls in love with him and marries him. And they're going to have a big Indian wedding, which is like in media res teased up top as if it's like a big thing that they're going to do. And I don't know. I was having fun with it by the time it does get to that stuff by the end. But I do think it's more of I'm not going to give it a 3 stars. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars.
Okay, I was a little worried because you were talking this up like that. Because I think the third act is probably the least funny bit, except for you brought up the new captain. Nat Faxon, as funny as he can be, is no Brian Cox. Brian Cox is he's retired. His character's retired now and just kind of hanging out at the
but he clearly showed up for one day on set, which they even clearly kind of joke in there's like an end credit blooper reel that has like one of the most earnest things I've ever seen, which is Brian Cox just showing up and being like, I haven't read anything. Like, what are we doing? Like, it really made me laugh that they kept that in there.
But Faxon's new captain, it almost feels like they're like Broken Lizard is hazing them because they make him do the most obvious joke, which is getting high accidentally at a fancy function and then trying to control yourself. That's what he gets. He gets that joke, which is not funny, and it hasn't been funny in like I don't even know if it's ever been funny. I enjoyed
the Nat Faxon being kind of like they fuck with him for being racist, and he like sort of is, but they really they really lean into that in a way that is again, it's also broad. I guess that's the problem, is that it's all just like, again, there's anti-Indian racism is going to be a lot of the jokes, broad sabotaging a wedding stuff, sister marrying the guy you hate the most stuff. It's just,
which could have been funny.
I know, like there's yeah, I'm halfway between appreciating that they're just like give us some basic plotting to actually put down so we can just do a funny movie. And yeah, I don't know, it does get too plotty ultimately, but I did appreciate the frozen in carbonite joke that I think you did not. I thought it was so stupid.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's dumb. It's dumb.
I'm like, wow, they actually Searchlight gave him some money for this. This is funny. This is stupid.
Yeah, by that point I was way out of it, because it just really felt like they were stretching all those jokes thin and couldn't come up with anything good. Which is, I mean, it's understandable. They couldn't come up with many funny jokes for the second one, and they had 25 years. This one they only had 8. They only had 8 to come up with new material. So you can understand it's 8 years to come up with new material, and it's kind of hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kevin Heffernan's funny. I think Farva's a funny character. I do think these guys can be funny. There's some intermittent laughs.
Too.
There's intermittent laughs here if you're a fan of these guys, but like it's not very good. It's not, the first one feels like lightning in a bottle situation where you should have left it in the past kind of thing. We shouldn't have ever made a sequel to it, let alone 2. But I do think this one is better than the second one, but I'm still giving it 2.5 stars. The second one's like 1.5 stars, if that. I thought it was really bad. This one, almost a pass for me, but not quite. 2.5. And Brian Cox is, we already mentioned he's in there.
He's in there for like 3 scenes maybe. I did not like this at all, and I did think the electric car was the funniest part, and it's not even that funny of a joke. It's not that funny of a joke that a car made in Canada calls everybody buddy and apologizes a lot, but it was something. It was something at least. So 1.5 stars for me for Super Troopers 3: Farva's Wedding, as we broke at the top of the review.
I mean,
that is the subtitle.
There's a lot of stuff they could have done when you actually think about like how policing has changed in 25 years and the public perception.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of material to be had. So I guess it is more disappointing if you think about it from that lens of like, they just really do the same old shit. And I appreciate I actually do appreciate the juvenile nature of their comedy. And I just wish it was honed a little better.
Me too.
In this movie. I forgot about were we reviewing stuff when Quasi came out? Because I remember
I think we did review that. That was that was a Hulu thing. That was awful.
Yeah, like they did a movie that was like a period piece, like
Hunchback of Notre Dame
thing. It was so bad.
It was
like
bad.
Really unwatchably bad. So, but hey, they're in the Disney family. Broken Lizards are Disney princesses, essentially.
Here's a free idea. Broken Lizard wants to come back. Horror is once again, and always has been, but now it really feels like it's once again big. Make the next Club Dread and call it Club Dread 4, A New Beginning.
Hell yeah.
And there you go. Just pretend that there were 2 movies before this one.
I love it. I think that's a great idea.
There you go.
And my cat is in the frame and she's into it as well.
Very distracting.
Very distracting. I just noticed her. Yeah. Here's
in a good way.
Yeah. I hope everyone's watching the cat lick herself or whatever cats do. The next movie we're talking about is Tony, the Anthony Bourdain. Is it a biopic? Or I mean, I guess it is, but it feels like
it's an origin story.
It's an origin story. I feel like I've seen so many people say this movie would have worked better if it were just about a guy and it wasn't Anthony Bourdain. I think that's kind of silly, but I think I know what they're getting at, because like they don't like the moments where the movie feels like they're, what's your name, kid? Anthony Bourdain. Like, I don't know. I see where people are coming from, but this is a very compelling movie about a real life figure. It's written and directed, right? Or at least directed. I don't know if he wrote it, actually. I don't think he did. Matt Johnson of Nirvana, the band, the show fame. And it, Jay McCarroll did the music. I was actually reading, Mark, that he was having trouble making this movie. It was just like a different process for him. And then eventually, like midway through the shoot, they like let him hire his people, like Jay McCarroll and stuff, and like let him do it the way he usually does it. And he had a better time. Here's a trailer for Tony, starring Dominic Sessa as a young Anthony Bourdain. Amelia Jones is in this, and Stavros Halkias, and Leo Woodall, and Antonio Banderas. Here's the trailer.
Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through the basic vision. It's a coming-of-age story. Excuse me, I need to speak with you.
Didn't you punch a hole in the principal's door?
You know, a lot's changed since high school. I'm a writer now. The truth is, I'm about to get this huge writing fellowship. Hello?
Mr. Bourdain, the committee has decided to go with another student for the fellowship.
I need a job.
You work in the kitchen before?
Sorry. Yeah.
We open Wednesday to Sunday. Start 11 a.m.
What fucking time is it?
That means that you're here at 10:45. 11 is late. Anyone late is fired.
You know I can cook too.
The kid said he's a cook, chef.
I'm actually not a fucking cook. I'm a writer, but I said I know how to cook.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. Shut the fuck up.
I see. None of that was
I don't care, Tony.
Are you a good guy or a bad guy?
Let me teach you this. This is how you open an oyster.
I ate these in France when I was a kid. I said they taste like the future.
I don't know about you, Mark. I find the performance like uncanny almost in his vocal replication of what Anthony Bourdain sounds like. I was very impressed with like sometimes performances of real people can feel like they're doing just an impression or like an imitation, and he embodies the energy of this guy and also the voice without doing that. Like, I do think it's a really great performance. Tell me about this movie.
Yeah, it is about a young Anthony Bourdain who's trying to become a writer, and has big ambitions and big hopes and a big ego about himself. And this movie is about him realizing maybe he shouldn't have as big an ego about himself because he's just a guy. And I really like this movie. And you brought up something in the introduction about it maybe working if it had been just about some ordinary schmo instead of Anthony Bourdain. But I think the reason it works is because it's Anthony Bourdain, but it's Anthony Bourdain at a time where you can recognize this guy in a lot of people that you know, in yourself probably in some way, and when you were that age. And I think that that's why it works so well, is because it's just a story of a guy who's trying to figure out who he is, what he wants to do, how he's going to do it, and maybe realizing stop being so selfish. It opens up with the quote from Kitchen Confidential about, what kind of young man he was at that time, and in need of a good ass kicking. And he gets one near the start of this movie, but it still didn't help. It still didn't help. He still had a lot to learn. And I really just like that it's about this character, who he is, and how much of a mess he can make by being that kind of person. And then along the way, figuring out, hey, I need to get my life together. I need to get my act together. Something's not working, and get there. I think it's a really it's an enjoyable movie about a guy that you can see and recognize.
Totally. And like maybe it's a little obvious in the structure of like Leo Woodall is like bad influence. Like he's like
who
the bad
he could
influence.
become. Who he could become versus Antonio Banderas, who he,
is more like to, he ultimately becomes more like Banderas in his career. And yeah, you see what the movie's doing, but like the performances are so lived in, and it's Matt Johnson has such a, this movie's also shot by Bowman, the guy who shot like One Battle After Another. Like it's like a really beautifully shot movie, despite being, totally a different scale and type of movie than what Michael Bauman did with PTA. So it's beautifully shot. It just like is so evocative of a summer feeling, like the summer in Cape Cod. Like it's just like really one of those movies where like you feel like it has like a lived in quality to it. And I think that's like Johnson doing something special. Yeah, I was really taken with it. I think there's also like this air of melancholy to it that isn't overbearing in a way where it's like foreshadowing his suicide in like obnoxious ways. The movie's just kind of melancholy, right? Like, how would you describe that? Or do you not?
Yeah, no, I agree because it is about this internalized feelings, and eventually what happens to Anthony Bourdain down the road. But I mean, at
Yeah.
this time, there is that still there. It's just kind of lingering in the background, like that he's confronting all these demons and everything as this is going on. But it's not. You're right. It doesn't linger on them. It doesn't focus on them. It is about like celebrating the fact that here's a young man who could have gone in a completely different direction, but instead he figured out his calling through these experiences. Yeah, just good old coming of age story. What he uses the German word, but he says it wrong at the beginning, just to point out that he's not as smart as he thinks he is, and so I enjoyed it quite a bit, and Antonio Banderas is really really good here.
Yeah, I agree. Like award season, we'll hear about him perhaps if this movie
I think
ends up being a hit. Which I hope it is. God, it would be really cool if this movie broke through.
It would
I
be.
think people do love Anthony Bourdain. Like maybe it will break
He's
through.
taken on like the quality of a myth at this point.
Yeah,
it's
so like,
interesting.
He's one of those people who you see quotes online, and I'm like, that's not even from him. That's just someone attributing a lofty idea to him, because the idea of Anthony Bourdain is so large that you can attribute fake guy quotes to him, and people will share them. You know what I mean? Like, you're right. He is a mythic figure, and something about the low stakes, like it's just a guy shucking oysters and couch surfing. Like there's just a vibe to it that I was totally down to spend a lot of time with, and it was a bit from like a craft level. It's a very well made movie. It's got like texture to it. Maybe was it shot on film or something? I haven't seen it in a while. I saw it a while ago, but I feel like I remember it looking really nice, and I always want to be like, it must have been shot on film because it has a nice look to it. Maybe it wasn't. But yeah, I really want to stress that Sessa performance is all about nailing the like cadence and rhythm of Anthony Bourdain, and I just think he did such a good job of embodying the man that I was like, I am watching Dominic Sessa do a performance, but like I am not watching someone who's just like doing a cheap imitation of Anthony Bourdain. It feels like this is a lived-in portrayal. I think it's a really, really strong movie, really great performances. Fun to see Stavros goofing around as a line cook in this. Really good. I liked it a lot. 3 stars for me for Tony.
Yeah, 3 stars for me for Tony too. I think it's gonna be a big crowd pleaser, and we'll see what happens later on in the year. But I have a feeling it might do some awards stuff, just because I don't like talking about that stuff, but it just feels like one of those movies that the Academy members are going to be like, oh yeah, this is about something important, but it also just feels, you said, lived in and natural, and I said, universal and about something everybody can relate to. So
right, yeah.
But it's a good solid movie, and
Totally
it's
agree.
in limited release now, and it opens wide in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Good, nice slow rollout there.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Miasma? Is there a right way to say that? I'm sure there is.
And I've already forgotten how they
for
pronounce
sure.
it.
A word that, I think it's miasma, and it's a movie, a word that they want you to Google before you get in there, I feel like. It's not a word that most people probably are familiar with. This movie, Jane Schoenbrunn, filmmaker behind one of my favorite films of the past however many years. I saw the TV Glow. I'm also a big fan of their one before that. What was that one called? We're All Going to the World's Fair. I enjoyed that one too. This is their most ambitious project yet. It's called Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. It stars Hannah Einbinder of the television show Hacks, making her feature debut. And another mispronunciation for me, probably. Is it Gillian or Gillian Anderson? I feel like I should know this.
Gillian. As far as I know,
thank
the only Gillian is Gillian Flynn and Gillian Jacobs. Or is she Gillian Jacobs now?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think it is Gillian. I think you're right there about Jacobs. But Gillian Anderson, is that right?
Yes.
It's like I've said it so many times, it's not even a phrase that makes sense in my head anymore. The star of the X-Files, famously, I guess, which as a fan of TV Glow, and if you know anything about Jane Schoenbrunn, there's such meaning in the casting alone of the star of the X-Files in this movie, because clearly Jane was a big fan of that show. Here's the trailer for the movie. I'm not going to say the title of again because I've already said it too many times.
Out here, there are certain nights when you just get this feeling that some psycho killer is gonna chop you up into a million little pieces. Oh, I like that feeling.
I don't want to make another dumb sequel in the Camp Miasma franchise. I don't want to make a remake of a remake of a remake. I want to make something that feels fresh and new.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's clearly the same person from Miasma 1, the final girl, but she's so much more.
How did you choose to live at the abandoned subway camp from the first film?
Someone's gotta be here when little death comes back.
Little death isn't real.
Well, not with that attitude, he isn't.
That line pretty much sums up the entire project of what this movie's doing, connecting the ideas of sex and desire to the media we watch, and specifically horror films. It's very much what Jane Schoenbrunn has shown they have interest in with regard to their films. Mark, tell me about Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. A follow-up to I Saw a TV Glow, a movie that I gave 4 stars, and I'm pretty sure you gave 3.5 stars a few years ago.
We were both really big fans of that one. You more so than I did, but I mean, I really, really like this. I also very much like this one, which is about a filmmaker trying to reboot a horror franchise that is very much in the vein of Friday the 13th, and also with hints of Sleepaway Camp, based on the fact that a lot of people are saying, you know what, that series is a little transphobic nowadays when you look back at it.
That scene where they're watching the movie and there's two aside she whispers to her, and one of them is this is the transphobic part.
Yeah,
boy is it. Yeah.
It tells you to shut up. We're watching the movie. It's so good. It's so good on so many levels because they're doing so many things with this material. They're making a self-aware comedy about horror remakes and how they are used as intellectual property. It gets very much into this idea like, we have to remake these movies because we know we can get butts and seats with them, and horror sells, and this is how we're going to make money, and it doesn't matter what we do as long as we make it look like it was supposed to be made. And we kind of gloss over all the problematic stuff from the past. It's very direct about that. It's also very direct about the title, the connection of sex and death in these kinds of movies. The fact that the killer is called Little Death, and a nice little French euphemism for an orgasm is Le Petit Mort, is very much on this movie's mind. And it is also in its own right a bloody slasher movie and a sexy movie about discovery, about that, and doing all these things. Schoenbrunn is doing so many things here that you cannot help but admire it on that level. But then on top of it, the world building of creating not just all these little souvenirs and memorabilia of the franchise, which gets highlighted in the credits.
I love the opening montage. Yeah, the opening credits.
I do too.
Just like I mean, the budget isn't super high for this movie, but you're like, God, they really just did, they made toys, they made this, they made that, they have fully art designed posters and VHS tapes from this stuff. It's really
an arcade
wild.
machine.
Yeah,
you watch it. You watch the movie. You watch that opening credit sequence, and you might start to doubt, like, did I just forget about the Camp Miasma series? Does this thing really exist? Because there's the work that went into just making that stuff is incredible.
The lived-in quality of that, and just like clearly Jane Schoenbrunn showing her influence of like, I used to watch Friday the 13th movies on VHS tapes. I grew up like all of you did. It's just there's a clear like this person knows ball, so to speak, about horror stuff, which is always nice.
Yeah, and then on top of it, the movie within the movie, there's essentially a full like short film that is the original Camp Miasma shown with, as you brought up, the filmmaker within the movie speaking about it and commenting on it and bringing it all up. The details in this are incredible, and that's not even getting into the actual movie itself, which is the story of the filmmaker trying to convince Gillian Anderson's character to appear in the remake and to lend some credibility to that, and also trying to figure out how to make that movie this in today's climate and what actually wants to be made. You watched this. I don't know if you did, but when I was watching this, I kept thinking back because there's some name drops here. Jason Blum gets a name drop.
Yes.
You know who has, obviously who owns the rights to Friday the 13th right now.
Yes.
And who distributed Jane Schoenbrun's previous movie, I Saw the TV Glow.
Right.
And do you think this conversation actually happened? Do you think Jane Schoenbrun
I mean,
had a conversation?
I do believe this movie must have been born not only out of her saying, them saying this is a movie about like a sexual awakening late in life, kind of, and like basically Jane Schoenbrun's a trans person who transitioned like fairly recently, and it wasn't until they transitioned and felt comfortable in their own body that they were able to finally enjoy sex for the first time. So it's very personal movie that that's like, maybe I feel like what I said about TV Glow, Mark, was that it's such a specific thing. It is a movie about how if you're a trans person and you feel like you're in the wrong body, don't, there's the ultimate message of that movie. What was it? There is still time. Like, you can still find yourself and it's not over. And I found that so moving. And there's something, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that something was limiting to me in this movie, if only because I was so hyper focused on the personal part of it. And I'm like, okay, this is a movie from a person who was once in a body they didn't feel like they belonged in, and they would disassociate during sex. So now they're in the right body, and now they're able to enjoy sex. And it's just like a celebration of like, sex is just play. Let's have fun. It's not supposed to be this thing that you're in your head about so much. So I love that. And I also love that you're right. It is a movie that you're like is personal in another way, where it's like she's sorry, I did that twice. They are in-demand filmmaker now in the genre. So they absolutely are fielding offers for things like Friday the 13th and Crystal Lake. I'm sure the TV show was the offer, or whatever else is going on in that universe right now. If you listen to The New Flesh, you know that the Jason universe is now mostly merchandise, and they're not allowed to make movies because of weird rights issues. But they are allowed to make a TV show that doesn't use the words Friday the 13th, which is why it's called Crystal Lake. Anyway, I'm going into the weeds, but that's my one criticism, Mark, is I'm like, I just personally have never disassociated to the way that these characters do. And like, they all feel like it's a very relatable thing to feel. And I was like, I've never felt that. So I just was like a little distanced by that, but I'm picking up like the 15 other things this movie's putting down that I thought were amazing. It's just like this one very personal side of it that I know the filmmaker's very like, this is what I was doing. That part I thought was really cool. I didn't connect with it the same way. I was like very moved by a TV Glow, like to the point of tears. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I connected with this one, and I'm actually surprised. I mean, maybe you did, but this idea of horror specifically, and what horror is about. It's about sex, and it's about death, and it's about the commingling of those two ideas, and it's about that in a way that is both titillating, and also putting forth this idea of shame, that sex is a shameful thing, that it's essentially a death sentence in a movie like this for characters.
Yes, I mean,
and
that's right. Go on, sorry.
And if you internalize that feeling that there's something shameful about sex because of the media that you're ingesting and because of the influence of society, this, the character in the movie is, their parents have, gotten, ostracized them, kicked them out of the family because of everything. And if you grow up with those depictions in media and that experience, how do you reconcile your love of this genre even when it is problematic and is putting forth messages that are questionable? I think the whole film, in a way, is an act of film criticism in a way that I was not anticipating.
It absolutely is. And it also is kind of the movie that they're making the whole time. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, we are watching Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, which is the final product of the characters in the movie who are making this movie, I feel like, is my interpretation, especially based on the way it opens, if you remember.
Yes,
like,
I do.
The camera setup and stuff. So yeah, I think it's working on like 15 different levels. And even on maybe it will be the third viewing where I'm like, I am focusing on the wrong things. This movie is just completely brilliant. And I was hyper focused on the wrong, something that I was looking for in there, and trying to relate to. And even though it's like, not everything has to relate to you, bro. It's okay.
It's true.
I love the conversation about Hannah Einbinder's character being like a Sundancey filmmaker who such a funny joke. Remade Psycho from the perspective of the shower curtain as a
Yes.
meta commentary on the gender trouble inherent in the slasher genre. So this movie just is like, how do we say it? Awash in Carol Clover speak, like academic, literary, horror as, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's just very academic, or at least interested in those ideas. But it's very smart about it. And yeah, so basically her character's sexual awakening, a queer awakening, was this movie. And now the pitch for her is Camp Miasma is zombie IP that needs to be resurrected because the IP itself is undead, as in too problematic to reboot because of woke, which, you know, basically means Hollywood would love to make this because it's easy money, right? It's already built an audience. And so what do they say when there's easy money to be made on something transphobic? You hire a queer Sundancey filmmaker to, I think she says, paper over the ugliness and give it like a tragic backstory, weave in perfunctory messaging about gender trauma and being yourself, and then everybody wins. So it's like there's like a cynicalness to it.
Mhm.
It's all just, I was very compelled by it. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the like Norma Desmond and Sunset Boulevard of it all, right? Which they keep saying about Gillian Anderson's character and being a recluse and what all that stuff. So there's just a lot going on here. And I love that the Billy character exists to tell the Sundancey character, you talk so academically. These movies are about flesh and fluids. That's it. Yeah, I just think it's really clever, really smart. I don't know what I'm looking for in it that's not that I watched it again hoping that I would be like, nope, full masterpiece. And instead I was like, I like TV Glow more, but I really appreciate that this movie is like interrogating the connection between titillation and shame and horror movies and sex. It's not afraid to get at that. It's not a meta take on like New Nightmare by Frightmaster Wes Craven. That's one of my favorite parts.
Like a trademark phrase, they have to say whatever they
yeah,
say
they
Wes
keep
Craven's
saying
name. It's great.
It's funny. There's so many funny jokes in this. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, there's just a couple little things that kept taking me out. Like, I'm like, what is with this KFC thing? Like, is this just a bit? Or is this like is the bit that it's just like being a very hive-minded, sexy thing, and it's just like you're dipping chicken in dipping sauce, and that's the joke? I think I was just looking too hard at stuff sometimes. I'm like, what is this? Like, and then the line where she says, I feel like there's about to be a jump scare made me roll my eyes. Like, there's like, I don't know why that made me roll my eyes, but all the other meta stuff worked for me. So like, I'm just kind of, I'm spending way too much time on minor bullshit when we should be talking about how great this movie is what I'm trying to get at. Sorry.
It's incredibly good in terms of just how many things it's doing and how well it does it. And yes, it is, again, it is this sort of academic look, but it is about fluids and all of that stuff that you expect too. That one take with the killer, where you get the sense of almost like this is just routine for the killer, but it's also kind of how Chris's character is envisioning what she wants this to be or how she saw it when she was younger. It's such a fascinating sequence, and the fact that it's set to Counting Crows' Long December,
that's another one where I'm like, is the joke that just that it's like this song and among murders? I was just like, what is this trying to say? I think there's a lot going on.
Nostalgia,
yeah.
Specifically, that song being there, it brings up a nostalgia for a specific period, which is not the period that the movie is set in,
right?
And when the movie was made, and so you're having all of this brought into it of just like this is how Chris is interacting and seeing this media.
The second time I was toying with the idea of like little death only being possible when you kill your inner child or something, but like I don't know if that's in there, or if I'm just again looking for dying for.
You just gotta stop being afraid of it.
Yeah.
I think that's mainly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a fantastic companion piece with I Want Your Sex for sure.
I think so too. I did say that, I believe, when in my review. I think I was thinking about that while I was watching both. Yeah, I think, and the whole frank discussion about what she thinks about like what gets her off, and how it's like I envision myself in the movie as a victim, and like, you know, it's just so interesting that they're engaging with this head on in ways that movies usually do not. So I'm a very enthusiastic 3 stars, and I think in the future I will get higher than that. I'm a big fan of this filmmaker. Sometimes my favorite albums, I hate the first 5 times I listen to them, and then they become my favorites. So I'm hoping this is the case, because I think this is a very, very rich text with so much going on. And also, even outside of the rich text, we should just say it's very funny and enjoyable.
It is.
It's a very fun movie, and the kills make me laugh, almost all of them. Or really the what is it? The tetherball pull one in the montage is really just my favorite. It's just the excess of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting, and what the look in the eye ends up being. I don't know, man. I do really like it. I don't know why I'm so hedgy about it. I'm speaking my truth in real time, but it is a 3-star, easy recommend. And we haven't even mentioned how beautiful it looks. The hand-drawn matte painting backgrounds and whatever else is going on here. It's a very
miniatures.
striking movie.
Schumbrun has a little like moment where somebody is toying with the miniature of the cinema cabin, just so you know, like, yeah, this was handcrafted. Look at this. And yeah, I want to look at that, and I'm very appreciative of how much work went into making this movie that clearly is very personal, but also very thoughtful and very entertaining. I'm giving Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma 3.5 stars.
Awesome. That's a Shane Brunn through line for you now. 3.5-star filmmaker, 2 in a row. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I'm excited to watch it again, frankly, even though I just watched it again. So that's not nothing. And I haven't watched TV Glow since it came out on disc, so I need to probably.
Yeah, I have that sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, great movie. All right, let's talk about Ice Cream Man, a new horror film from Eli Roth. What is there to say? Here's the trailer for Ice Cream Man.
What happened? Someone hurt my mommy. Who? Me.
You guys see that weird ice cream man today?
What do you mean weird?
Like he was following me. Is everyone sick or something?
Back to your classrooms.
They're not trying to kill us. They're trying to turn us. That ice cream's demonic.
Mark, this is going to be either fun or very not fun to discuss. I found this to be just such a toss-off, cheap, amateurish. My main question I keep asking is, like, I think Eli Roth earned some goodwill for the first time in a long time after Thanksgiving was, like, surprisingly a lot of fun, I thought. And then he follows it up with this movie that was clearly made on the cheap and shot, and I've read an interview that was written like a fluff piece, but was actually really informative of how cheap and shitty this movie was in its production. They're like, yeah, we had a few hours to film this main sequence. We shot it all in 19 days, blah, blah, blah. And it just really screams every element. The article just basically proved to me, yeah, all this does is prove that the movie sucks for good reason. Like, you guys didn't spend the time to do any of this. The narrative is barely there. It's all just a vehicle, Mark, for Eli Roth to show off, like, basically one sequence, one extended sequence of kids killing adults in various practical, disgusting ways. And that sequence is okay, but, like, the buildup is excruciating and not worth the juice ain't worth the squeeze here, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it is. My relationship with Roth's movies is not great. I think he's made some very, very, very awful horror movies that are just depraved and mean-spirited and cruel for no reason except the cruelty. I think this one is doing that too in a lot of ways. But there is a kernel of an idea here that I found kind of funny, which is that what this ice cream does to the kids, it's not just it turns them violent, it makes them kind of see the world as a cartoon in a way.
Yeah, an AI generated cartoon.
Yeah, okay, so that's the big question is I watched this and I couldn't tell, like, how much of this is AI. Is any of this AI, or is it just bad
It's one of those
effects and animation? I'm a little concerned because we're getting to that point, I think, where it's now there's an uncanny valley with AI or potential AI, because AI always looks bad, but now you have to question, like, is it just bad AI that, like, is usual, or is it just cheap visual effects, like particle effects that kind of look like they could have been AI, but they're just bad? I don't know. So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because I did go through the credits. I didn't see any AI companies or anything involved or people like that would be using AI potentially. But if it is AI, shame on you. Don't do that. Anyway, but the idea of them doing cartoon when the kills represent that, when it's like a bunch of kids throwing balls that they have at gym class at a guy to try to kill him, that's funny. I found that funny. When it's a girl putting a mousetrap on her dad's foot to wake him up, that's funny. When it's just we're gonna take an axe and chop
Yeah.
this woman in half, that's not funny. And I'm kind of I do think ultimately it's just cruel. That ending is nothing but cruel, and you can see it coming a mile away. So it
Yeah.
just is like, yeah, I know where this is going. Why are you doing this specifically in this way when you're trying to make a comedy? Clearly, I just think Roth doesn't quite get tone. I really don't think
No,
he understands
he doesn't have a
tone,
handle on
especially
this
with
at
this.
all. I mean, it's so chintzy and cheap. It's kid acting a lot of the time. So it's like a lot of just bad dialogue and bad performances saying, just like saying stuff that sucks. It's just like, this isn't interesting. I'm just waiting for the reel of gore. And even when it came, it was some of it. Yeah, you're right. I don't know, for every one kill that was fun, there's like 4 stupid ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just is one big sequence of kills, like is how I remember it. I watched this a while ago. But anyway, Mark, it actually does credit an AI company in the credits.
Oh, it does. Well,
Dark
crap, I
Half,
missed that.
an AI VFX company. I know it played at the mystery movie last night, and a lot of people were on Twitter now being like, okay, this movie's got fucking AI in it. So that's definitely a knock against it. We are not condoning the use of generative AI here at this show.
Yeah.
We think it sucks. And especially in a movie that's clearly trying to like pay homage to like an old fashioned kind of exploitation movie that's like nasty, and usually those are made with like crude practical effects, and that's kind of the part of the enjoyment of it, is like watching how they pulled that off. So to use AI at all, fuck you, don't do that.
Especially when you already are hiring other VFX houses that don't use AI.
Yeah, and
for
done
some
all the
stuff.
work for the kills. Yeah, so it just that sucks. It wasn't even a thought in my mind when I was going to come here and talk about it, because I was like, there's many other
neither,
reasons.
because there's plenty of other reasons that there's some problems with this movie. But I do think there's something to it. It's
what
just,
do you think there is to it? I'm fascinated.
This
Just the
idea of just like
kids killing their
just
parents,
the idea
or...
of kids doing this kind of violence in a way that a child would. Like I said, with like the balls from gym class, or using a mousetrap, or imagining, a goldfish bowl that you would get stuck on the cartoon cat's head, and that's how this is envisioned in their minds, because they're seeing the world as a cartoon, and that's why they're doing what they're doing, because they're just trying to have fun, like it's fun comedic violence. And if it is actually comedic violence, it might have worked, but the times that it is genuinely funny don't compensate for the fact when it is just mean-spirited and just being gory and brutal for.
And again,
for that
I
purpose.
wouldn't mind if it was just a mean, nasty movie and it had really impressively staged, tense, any sort of sequence that's like worth praising. Instead, this movie's really just plays like a highlight reel for the gore.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you could have just sent me this part. You could have sent me the 10 to 15 minute part where the kids are going crazy, and that would have been enough to review the movie, because the rest of it is just such interminable buildup. I just didn't care about any of it. Like, I just was constantly wondering, like, Eli Roth started a horror company to make cheap horror movies, presumably thinking he could do like a Blumhouse model type of thing, and he ended up with this. And the joke I made to a friend was like, if your friend made this movie and you went to go see it at a festival, like, you wouldn't look at them in the eye afterwards. Like, you would have been like, you would have found some stupid thing to praise about it. Like, you guys look like you had a lot of fun out there. I don't know. It's just not, it's not good. And I'm one who, I also think Eli Roth has made a lot of really bad movies, but I also think he's made a few good ones. I don't know if they're flukes at this point, but I do think Hostel 2 is good. and I think I like Knock Knock a lot. And
Knock Knock is, yeah.
I like
it's
Knock
not
Knock.
good. I don't think it's good, but it's one of his better ones.
Yeah, it's the closest to good. Yeah, I remember thinking Green Inferno didn't quite get there, but like I'm always, he's just not a very good filmmaker. Oh, Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
I love Cabin Fever. Cabin Fever was like a huge movie for me. I will defend Cabin Fever, even though it also has its amateurish qualities. I do think it ultimately works. And I don't know why that kid yelled karate or whatever.
Pancakes. It's seared in my brain because it is one of those things like, what? Why?
Like, what is that? Why do you say that?
Why?
Yeah. Only the twisted mind of Eli Roth could come up with a mentally challenged kid. Doesn't he bite somebody and yell pancakes? Is that what happens?
I don't remember that. I just remember him yelling pancakes a lot. And
yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen that movie in a while. Remember when they remade it almost shot for some reason?
I know, and I missed it because I think
it's fine.
Did it even get a theatrical release? I don't even remember if it did.
I don't think it did. I think I got a screener of it like around the time it came out, if memory serves. Yeah, it's not good. And there's also a straight to video sequel that was made by Ty West, but I think he Alan Smithied it. So he took his name off of it. So I remember seeking that out, thinking it was going to be good, and it was pretty disappointing. Anyway, that's my Eli Roth history, I guess. It's quite a bad movie. I'm just giving it 1 star. There's like nothing here.
Oh wow. Okay.
The 1 star is for the gore, which I do think it looks cool, and it's like I appreciate the practicalness of it, but nothing else for me.
I'm apparently grading on a very weird curve. I'm giving it a low end 2 stars out of 4, just because I think it's got some funny stuff in it, and I think if it had carried through with that premise of this is going to be a funny, cartoonish, but done live action with kids using their kid thinking and thought processes to kill people, might have been worthwhile. So low end 2 stars for me for Ice Cream Man. But yeah, stop with the AI. Come on. Just
you saw the potential in it. I like that.
I did see the potential in it.
I didn't. I just kept
because I
like,
hate so much of Eli Roth's stuff. And I think he
Yeah.
really doesn't, a lot of times he doesn't even have that kernel of an idea how to make something funny. At least this one had it. It just didn't pull it off right.
Yeah. It just
It's
I
a
don't know.
weird curve.
It's one of those things where I'm like, there just ain't a feature here, man. This is like a short
Yeah,
that
there's
would debut at Horror Fest, and it would be like, yeah, that was a cool sequence with a bunch of kids killing a bunch of adults. Also, was this conceived entirely after Weapons? Like, did he just see a bunch of kids killing?
Well, I mean, if he shot it in 19 days, it very well
it could have been shot. Yeah, and then it could have been shot. This,
he saw Weapons and said,
the past
I'm going to
few
write
months.
this script, and here we go.
Yeah, he just wanted to do his take on that awesome sequence that like all that sequence did in this movie mostly is remind me like, damn, that part of Weapons is so fun when like it just breaks loose like that and everyone in the theater was going crazy. This movie does not have anything near that, and I was not going crazy at any point other than checking how much longer was left, perhaps. All right, let's talk about Late Fame, a new movie from is it Kent Jones? Is that his name?
Yes.
Kent Jones, indie filmmaker. Willem Dafoe stars in this. Greta Lee is in this. Here's the trailer.
Please. My boy. How's it going, kids? Oh, I've missed you.
This is Saxberger.
Hello there, Gloria Gardner.
Pleasure.
So, are you an artist too?
Gloria, this is Saxberger. Who wrote Way Past Go?
Oh, of course, this is exactly how you would look. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Saxberger.
Thank you. Saxberger here has agreed to take part in our recital. Reading.
I just got chills.
What are you drinking?
You decide, darling.
Just help the man out. Do you want a slow gin fizz? Do you want a chai latte?
For the love of God, not a chai latte. How about an absinthe? Yes, an absinthe.
I'll have a black coffee, thanks. So how's the play going, Gloria?
Oh,
I swear that says official trailer. It wasn't just a clip from the movie.
Yeah, that felt like a clip, but that's fine.
Felt like a clip, but you know,
we're going back to old Siskel and Ebert style where it's we show actual clips
and out of context.
They're harder to
clip.
find now.
Yeah, for sure. This movie, I mean, that kind of gets at what it's about. But Mark, tell us what the plot of the Willem Dafoe starring indie late fame is about. I mean, it's all right there in the title, I guess, too.
It is, yeah. Willem Dafoe plays a poet who was kind of had his shot right near the end of when the beat poetry boom was happening, right before like slam poetry started being introduced in the 80s, and he lost it. He missed his time, so now he works at the post office, and he is suddenly approached by a young man who has this little intellectual circle that he wants to have, where everybody's a writer and they want to do stuff and they want to change the world, and they say they admire his writing and he can't help himself, and so he joins the group, and he kind of takes on this, like, what he thought he could have had before, this fame through these young people. And I think it's really about people pretending to be what they're not in so many ways.
Yes, I agree. I couldn't tell whether the movie had like a ton of contempt for these rich NYU kids, or if they wanted me to think they're like actual, like they're well-meaning community artists who want to bring back an old, like there's like honor in this. And I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. But I do think it's kind of getting at the idea that like the only people doing this or can afford to do this are the trust fund NYU kids. So maybe that is actually part of the text. And man, I had to walk myself into it just then.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, because you learn that the lead guy of that group, I wish I could find his name.
Saxberg? Oh, the guy. The
Arthur Langley, is that it?
Yeah.
He plays Carmichael. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So you find out this is a trust fund kid. His parents bought him an apartment in New York City instead of paying for the dorm room, because they're like, oh, it'd be cheaper to just buy you an apartment that you will own for the rest of your life and never have to
that
worry
scene
about that.
Made me want to run my head into a wall, but like that is what it's like. So
but that's exactly what's going on. And this guy who doesn't have to worry about anything in his life wants to bring back the poetry readings and this intellectual circle. And yeah, of course they can do it. Unlike Defoe's character, who, when his book wasn't successful, had to take a regular job and has been working that job for decades and just living this quiet life of an anonymity, and now is just happy to be paid attention to. I really like Greta Lee's character too, the actress who puts on the airs of being famous and having this,
ingenue quality,
adoring crowd that follows her everywhere. And but she's at least doing the work. She is being an actress. She's trying to find gigs, but how are you supposed to do it? All these other people are just kind of
there's a harsh reality behind it that we learn.
Yes, exactly.
Later. Yes.
It's good. It's quiet. It's very subtle. It's more observant than it is about the story of the actual things going on here. And Defoe is so good. He's so good. He can play pretty much anything. He can play the Green Goblin, and he can play this guy that you believe entirely having this long experience of disappointment and then trying to keep it all in and accepting that that's your fate. And then when this shows up, having that temptation.
And when he has to when his actual friends are kind of making fun of him when he talks about his poetry, and he has to, they're like, what do you think, you're better than us? Or like, we're and he's like, yeah, I do. And like, there's such honesty there, and it's all just really good. And it reminded me of some of my favorite movies, which are Inside Llewyn Davis and what else did it remind me of? Oh my God. It was Inside Llewyn Davis, and there's another movie that's about, why can't I remember? I'll edit this part. I had it right here. It was in my head and I just completely lost it.
Do you remember who or what?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
It was
I'm trying to think of it. I can't.
I don't know. Inside Llewyn Davis and I got it.
Okay.
It reminds me of some of my favorite movies, Mark, like Inside Llewyn Davis or Patterson, which that Jarmusch movie about a guy who writes poetry but drives the bus. This is very much in that same wheelhouse. He's a postman. He's a career postman, but he had this flirt with fame. And Patterson's not about the fame at all. It's about like how you can be fulfilled without that part. Like you can just do it. Yeah. One of the best movies of whatever decade. I love that movie so much. Did you know who wrote this movie, Mark? Did you see?
I didn't notice.
The writer Sammy Birch, who's a new screenwriter, who wrote May December, which I loved, and I'm assuming you liked.
Oh yes, yeah, yep.
And she has the most interesting IMDb because she also wrote Coyote versus Acme.
Oh, it comes out later this month.
Yeah. So Late Fame, Coyote versus Acme, and May December is such like a vast swath of work. So I think very talented writer. I really liked May December. I like this a lot, and I'm looking forward to Coyote versus Acme quite a bit. So I'm very solid 3 stars on Late Fame.
Yeah, 3 stars for me too for Late Fame. Did you see it's based on a book by Arthur Schnitzler, who wrote the book that the novella that Eyes Wide Shut was based on too.
Oh shit, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
apparently it was a lost book that they just found recently.
Well, that fucking tracks, does it? Wow.
Oh yeah, it does.
That is like
doesn't
metatextual. It? Yeah, that is really something. A real life Rodriguez situation or something. All right, let's talk about Olmo, which is a coming of age movie, but like about a more harsh reality version of that for some reason. Here's the trailer for Olmo.
Olmo.
Necesito hacer pipí. Carajo.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Push the mattress.
Ana, ay, Nina.
No me dejen en el piso.
Tengo que trabajar. Olmo te va a cuidar.
¿Qué? Nunca escucha.
He's the one that never listens. Comparten la lasaña.
No me gusta.
Yes, you do like lasagna.
Sí me gusta la lasaña, pero no congelada.
Right. Go. Hi. So my father sold our stereo, and I promised to bring the stereo to the party. Could you lend me your stereo?
A party? Come on.
As I said on Letterboxd, it's super bad meets super sad because the super bad stuff is there. I mean, that's basically the plot of super bad. They have to bring alcohol to the party. This one's about bringing a stereo to the party. The idea is the party wouldn't happen without them. They got to get it there. It's very important. It's a great coming of age movie. And then it's also about like this kid's dad having a terminal debilitating disease that requires the family to take care of him, and how you have to balance that with trying to be in a coming of age movie. So I thought it was very like a very novel take on that. A very like I haven't seen this before, I guess, or not in this tone, because it is like the super bad fun tone, but also has that in it.
Yeah, and the thing holding me back is I'm not sure if it gets the tone quite right. I think it is trying to be more fun and nostalgic and hopeful and optimistic than it is about the tougher parts of this story, which is this kid having a hard time confronting the fact that his dad, who has MS, is in bed and he doesn't know how to take care of him. He worries about him, obviously, and how to take care of him. And he's kind of frustrated with the entire situation, as it's repeated over and over again in this, that he doesn't, and the father also is like, I don't want my son to take care of me because he's terrible at it.
Yeah.
And that relationship,
when he's in his custody.
That relationship is so specific and so fascinating that I kind of wish the movie were about that. As much as those characters don't want to be together, that's more interesting to me than two kids try to get the stereo and run into town to have a party and have a good time while in the background all this other stuff is going on. I don't think it quite works out right. I do like the things that it does very well. Is very specific about this age. He's a teenager, so he's caught in between being a kid and wanting to be an adult, but not having any of that responsibility. That scene where they find a cape and a mask, and instead of doing anything else, they get into a car and pretend to be superheroes because they're still kids at heart. And I really like that idea, that it is about this in-between time for kids this age, where they're thinking about sex, they're thinking about this stuff, but they also just want to have fun in other ways like they did when they were kids. So there's a lot to admire about this, but I'm not entirely sold, I think, specifically on the tone and whether or not it achieves what it's going for with this bittersweet sort of thing. I think by the end, it's so looking forward towards like things are going to be okay, even though a lot of stuff is wrong beyond whatever is going on with the father and how that relationship is going to go out. Like they might get evicted from their home.
Right.
They haven't figured that out yet. So there's a lot left hanging that I think the movie is kind of whitewashing a little bit to make it seem like we're good, everything's fine as long as we're all together. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Did you realize the through line between this movie and Middle Life from last week, which is that they both have a triumphant third act bowel movement that's actually really satisfying and funny?
Well, and it's not technically bowel movement for one of them, but
fair.
yeah, it's the like something involving
a
relieving
bathroom
yourself.
situation.
Yeah.
Very weird connection that when that happens, when you watch so many movies, the weird connections are funny when you notice them. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the tone. I guess it does kind of veer wildly. But I did appreciate the like not like ready to, he's self-absorbed and he needs to grow up and deal with the reality of life, but it's all, again, you're right, they're still kids. So yeah, I don't know, it's just a small scale coming of age thing that's not doing a whole lot, but I did find it kind of charming in its own way as a fan of these kind of movies. I just like a coming of age movie, and it wasn't like, it didn't do anything to lose me, even though it looks like it sort of lost you a little bit.
It lost me just enough.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm 3 stars on it. I enjoyed this. Brad Pitt produced it, which is interesting. It's a Plan B production. But yeah, it's, period piece set in the late 70s in New Mexico. If you're into that milieu and you think a coming of age movie sounds like a good time, I think you'll enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed it. 3 stars for me.
Yeah, 2.5 stars for me for Olmo. Currently in limited release, and I think that's it. I don't think it has a digital release yet.
Fair enough. Okay. And then there's one more we have to talk about, which is Cookie Queens, a documentary about the world of Girl Scout cookies. They called it Cookie Queens because Capitalism, a Love Story was already taken by the Michael Moore documentary. Here's the trailer.
Means? Does everyone know what upselling means? Okay. Guess what? It's Girl Scout cookie season! When you're selling Girl Scout cookies, you have to set your goals. My sister went to Europe, and that's where I'm going to.
Very good salesperson, Olive.
Oh, I'd like to be a Supreme Court justice.
Oh.
Every Girl Scout makes a goal and tries to accomplish it or go past it. Ah! Ow, that hurt. My goal is to get strong enough to pull that big wagon. Chugga, 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 chugga.
Ara is the star of the year, of the season. She is the cutest little kid I've ever seen. Sorry to my little kid. She's not, except for my kid, is what I should have said. Ara, she's adorable. It is absurd how cute this kid is. And when she's selling cookies on like the boardwalk or something, and some lady says, maybe later, and just walks away, the girl just tells her dad, she said later, so we have to stay here and wait for her to come back.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. This movie made me simultaneously so excited for my kid to be this age and also like mortified because that's so sad to think of. Anyway, this is a charming little movie about what it's like to sell Girl Scout cookies and how these girls are motivated, and it teaches them a lot of skills, but also maybe is it some of their parents' influence? Is their parents more interested? Classic conundrum here. It's just interesting. These characters are very compelling, and especially that one girl. She's so cute. And then, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's 4 Girl Scouts of different ages in different parts of the country selling cookies and trying to reach their goals and all the problems that they face trying to do it. One girl is trying to maybe break her all-time national record that she's sold in terms of how many cookies she sold and wants to do that. But the question is that something she actually wants to do, or she feel pressure from her family to try to do it? Who knows? There's another girl who's buying a bunch of cookies to be able to go to summer camp, and then her parents realize this is a mortgage payment. This is the amount of cookies of a mortgage payment. We have to figure this out because we're on the hook for this. And then there's Ara, who just wants to make people happy. And yeah, she's fantastic. she's after this movie comes out, she's going to have an army of people who will do pretty much anything. If she wants to sell cookies online, everyone will buy cookies from Ara. Just keep that in mind. To her parents, like, yeah, this movie is going to do great for your daughter's ability to sell cookies, and that's what this movie is about, really, isn't it? It's about showing what this program does, why it's important for the girls, what the girls get out of it, and maybe some of the problems with it, like when they start talking about the percentages that the actual troops get to bear to the administration of Girl Scouts of America. That's worth talking about.
There's that. There's like the parents who, like, when their kids in the room are talking about how money strapped they are, but like there's that scene where they're basically crying, like, oh my God, we have this many thousands of boxes to sell because my daughter is very ambitious. And if we don't do that, we have a problem. we can't afford this. So it gets real when it needs to. Yeah, it's a good doc. It's yeah, I would say it's like not like a celebration of it and not an indictment of it. It's just kind of like a look at what it is, what it's like, and what what the different levels of engagement are with it, I guess. Yeah, I enjoyed it. 3 stars for me.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave out the fourth girl is she's in California. Her older sisters were Girl Scouts who did really well selling cookies, and she is now wanting just to be around her older sisters who have moved on to other stuff. That's a really sweet story too, and it has nothing to do with like trying to win stuff. It's just I want to be with my sisters, and that's also very nice to see. It's just a really lovely little documentary about kids growing up and learning things and figuring out what they want to do. Yeah, 3 stars for me too for Cookie Queens. Definitely worth checking out.
It's recap time. Super Troopers 3, Mark, 1.5 stars. Me, Brett, 2.5 stars. And these reviews are out of 4 stars total. Tony, this looks so funny in the text. It's like Tony Mark. I'm like, who's Tony Mark? Tony Mark gave 3 stars, and I also gave 3 stars. Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. Mark gave 3.5 stars, and I gave 3 stars. Ice Cream Man. Mark gave 2 stars, and I gave 1 star. Late Fame. We both gave 3 stars. Olmo. Mark gave almost 3 stars, aka 2.5 stars, and I gave it 3 stars. And Cookie Queens, we both gave 3 stars.
12 stars for Ara.
Yeah,
I don't know why, just 12.
12. She deserves them all. You know what? 200. Is that how many she had to sell? No, 100.
Yeah.
I think she sold 60 the first time, or 50 something, and then 60, and then 200.
55, and then it was like, I'm gonna sell 60 now because I can get a. That's the other thing. She did it for a bandana, and the Girl Scouts of America had better send her a bandana every year, no matter how many cookies she sells.
Yeah, they need
It'll be great for publicity.
She needs to be on the payroll. She should be the face of the organization, for sure.
Yep.
I think we can get to the comments on YouTube if there are any. I feel like it was a light week. Let's check ye old comment section.
People were not happy about Spider-Man.
Oh fuck! Well, you should see the Yahoo.
Yeah, I know. Compared to Yahoo, you guys were just.
I got fucking obliterated all weekend, and some people. I love when they jump on Twitter to be like, "Hey, fuck you, you bald bitch." I'm like, why do you care so much? The bald is a choice. I think it's great. We're 2 bald guys. We have a podcast where you can see both of our heads shining in real time. I think it's great. Anyway, what do we have to say about the comments? That was the last one about Airbender. We talked about that. Okay, here we go. Here come the people saying, fuck you, kindly. Well, you're definitely in the minority when it comes to Spider-Man. The reviews are very high, and the audience is extremely high. So, ? That was Peter Cunnington, 69. There was some, anger in that comment. I felt it. There's like a as if they're saying we're wrong because the reviews are good and the audience scores are high, so therefore we're like wrong. Which I have to just say, that's not how this works, right? Like, these are opinions. And Mark and I have our opinions. You guys have yours. I did think, I think there was a Spotify comment. Someone's like, I think I'm done with this show. And I'm like, do you listen to stuff so they can like spit out what you think back at you? Because I don't think that's a good way to engage with anything. So I hope people aren't doing that. I think you can, I mean, I guess I would be annoyed with the critic if I disagreed with them heavily or if there was specific reasons. But when it's just like other people like it, so I'm like, what? So what? What do you want me to say? I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
we're gonna evoke Mark's catchphrase, which I love. That's where we're at. I say that all the time now on my other show too. It's everywhere.
I didn't even know I said it that often.
I think I don't know.
That's great.
It's said. I think it's said.
I'll bet it is. I can probably say a lot of things a lot.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
When I write, and I think I had a copy editor who loved to like say, because my reviews are like sometimes 10 of them in one piece, you know. And then they'll be like, well, you had 14 incrediblies or something. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I need to edit this before I send it to you. This is horrible.
I always make sure if I think I have repeated something, I always go back like, did I actually say that already? Or did I use that adverb already?
For sure. It's not easy.
I always have to make sure about it. It's not.
Writing is hard, especially when like Mark, you watch so much over the years. It's just like, it's amazing. You can find stuff to say sometimes. Anyway, what else do we have? Thomas Newsom, just some words of encouragement. He didn't say anything mean. He just said, admire and enjoy your podcast every week. I especially enjoy your coverage of smaller movies, some I've never heard of. Keep it going. I love Spider-Man, by the way. Great comment. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad there was
we're not here to ruin it for you
at the end of it. Right. Yeah. And Leonardo Lopez mentioned that Super Troopers 2 is coming out next week. And he's right. We forgot to mention that at the end of last week's episode because it does feel like it came out of thin air. But maybe that's just me feeling that happened. Someone spoiled Superman or Spider-Man, so I don't want to talk about that one. But they were super excited for the episode. Carey Mulligan is back saying, on a lighter note, I just got back from watching I Want Your Sex for the third time. Araki is among my favorite directors, so to see one of his films on the big screen is such a treat. So I've been able to get 2 friends to see it so far, both of whom hadn't seen an Araki film before. I'm glad to hear that. That's so cool that you drag friends to movies. I am such a loner at this point. I go to 99.9% of movies by myself, and I'm assuming Mark does also. But I'm sure we've made friends. You know, we make friends with the other people at the screenings, and like that feels like it's enough socializing for me sometimes. I will invite a friend every now and then if it's a big movie, and like, you know, I just feel like I don't know. I go to the movies by myself, so I'm inspired that you go with friends, and I'm gonna try to do that more. There's actually like a local dad who definitely, I feel like now I realize, was trying to get me to invite him to go because he's like, I'm seeing Spider-Man tomorrow after I had said I was seeing it tomorrow. And instead I feel like I went at 12 and he went at 12:30 at the same theater. And I just didn't say anything. So this is a lesson. I need to, you know, take the invite and go for it. Because that's a good way to experience film. And you can have a conversation about it after. Anyway, what else do we have? JM Carey 51423. Okay, I think this is another Spider-Man comment. A movie that is very well acted, emotional truths by Holland and Zendaya, genuine warmth and humor by Bernthal, kinetic action, the feeling of a fully alive and breathing New York City by way of Scotland, I believe they filmed it in Scotland. Anyway, an incredible movie.
Stuff in New York. There's definitely some stuff in New York.
I don't know about that.
Some of it, like not much, but some.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, some pickup shots maybe. It's okay if you don't like it, but that probably has more to do with where you're at in your critical and cultural taste right now, as opposed to creators of the movie failing in any way. I think they succeeded with flying colors. People are going to love this, and it'll make a hell of a lot of money. I know it's the highest grossing opening of all time. It's already grossed $1 billion in like how many days? 4. I think it's the second fastest movie to do that ever. I think it actually had a start internationally, maybe ahead of its debut here, so maybe it's a little longer. But anyway, yeah, I understand that it's popular, and I agree partially that it is a little bit to do with where I'm at. Like, I don't like Marvel movies. It's just straight up true. But like, I don't know. I don't think a movie succeeds with flying colors when, again, I think Mark and I both felt like it completely deflated in the third act to become a backdoor pilot for another character.
Another
It's just
character,
like
another team, another
they're just
whatever's coming next.
these
Whatever is coming
MCU
next.
the standalone movies can't be standalone movies anymore, and I do resent that. So like, it's a me problem versus a creative problem, but like, how the fact that Marvel's fucked up in my estimation to the point where there's a new X-Men coming out and like Samara Weaving's in it, and I'm not excited about it because I'm like, it's an MCU movie. It's gonna be not that interesting. Like they've kind of kneecapped themselves. And maybe I don't know. I should stop talking about this lest we get more comments that we had. And it's just an endless cycle of us talking about it. Oh, here's a good one. Johnny McGarrigle. I feel validated by your reviews of Brand New Day. I was waiting for it to be over by the end of it. But from the praise, I was left thinking, is this just because I've been reading comics for 30 years and hate how they've made Punisher into a nice guy and literal clown, and Sadie Sink's only similarity to a character in the comics is her hair color? No, it's legitimately a bad film that ignores its main character and has too many unnecessary cameos, along with every other Marvel issue. Nearly crashed my car when my partner said it was great on the drive home opening night. Also, part of me is annoyed we didn't get Man Spider at any point. I did hear about a lot of things like we did have Man Spider and we thought it was too scary, and we had this, but we thought it was too this. So it also feels like it was fudged with so heavily. And also, didn't it just start filming like a year ago? I feel like it was a rush job, and also like it was tinkered with a lot. So I don't know.
I feel like I remember them talking about all the practical stunt work they were going to be doing on location like not that long ago.
Yeah, I think it was because of they were amenable to his Odyssey filming schedule. I think they just filmed it really late.
That might be it.
Yeah, very interesting.
I mean, Nolan filmed the Odyssey relatively quickly.
It's so crazy.
For what it is.
It's nuts that like he had the Oppenheimer. We had no idea what he was going to do next, and then he said, "I'm going to make the Odyssey," and then now it's out already. I guess time just passes fast, but it does feel like that was kind of crazy how quickly he got that off the ground.
In a Nolan world, time is very fluid. We've learned that many times.
Yes, don't try to understand it. just feel it. By the way, every time I watch Tenet, which is several times now, maybe more than any other Christopher Nolan movie, because I'm always trying to be like, this is the time it's going to be a 5-star banger for me. I pretty much got there. Like it's really, I do find it to be very compelling. And like kind of you do need to watch it several times and just kind of appreciate the little things that make it really good. Like the whole Elizabeth Debicki's character's arc, which I used to think was not cool, is actually really satisfying to me now. And it's just it's a very well-made, intricately designed movie. And I don't think anyone gave it the time of day because of whatever, just the COVID era. No one, I don't know. It was just a weird thing. It should have been a much bigger thing than it was. And I hope it gets to the point where Nolan's like, fuck it, I'm making Tenet 2 and it'll be huge this time. And I believe him. It will be.
Don't you mean Tenet 2?
Yeah, I actually mean it already is a huge hit. Tenet 2 already is out.
No, I mean it would have to be titled To Tenet 2.
Yes, you're right. It would have to be titled To Tenet.
To Tenet 2. To Tenet.
It just never stops.
It never ends.
I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago. Great movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a while.
I might revisit it after you said you have watched it several times. And
I've watched it so many times.
In your estimation,
it really is.
Go back to it.
I was very much like, I don't get this the first time. Like this is gobbledygook, but I find it very compelling now. And
the in-camera time stuff is incredible. I don't know how he pulled that off. Some of that stuff is just amazing. And when you're watching it, you're like, oh, that works forwards and backwards somehow. And you did that all in camera. I don't know how.
Nobody does.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be worth watching at least for that stuff.
Leonardo Lopez says maybe it's too late to talk about something related to Hadestown. I say too late because the internet, anything that's more than a week old is ancient history. But considering this was a pro shot of the musical, I did some digging for myself, and I realized that there are more stage musicals that have not been made into movies than I initially expected. I counted more than 50 stage musicals without feature films. It's literally free real estate regarding the musicals that can be made into an actual movie, like Avenue Q, The Book of Mormon, various Sondheim musicals, and even musicals based on non-musical movies. Like, I think we would much rather see film adaptations of the musical versions of Legally Blonde, The Wedding Singer, and Heathers instead of straightforward remakes of those movies. I mean, we did get a film version of the Mean Girls musical after all. I don't know how you feel about the revelation, but it's something that has caught my attention over the past few days. I mean, that is a good point. I do think I've wondered where Book of Mormon is for years. I think they were
Mhm.
supposed to make it as a movie, and
They were.
they are now like busy with their deepfake company or whatever the hell they're doing and running Casa Bonita in Denver. Yeah, I don't know where the Book of Mormon movie is. I think it would be huge. I do think there are various Sondheim movies that would work. I do think I would be interested in like, I mean, Mean Girls, I guess, was kind of the bellwether for those of like, what if we made a movie of the musical that was based on the movie? And I do think Wedding Singer is an interesting call. I love The Wedding Singer enough to, I haven't seen that the musical version, but I'm sure that's compelling to me. I don't know. What do you think about that question?
I think the problem is that Hollywood's still reluctant with actual filmed versions of musicals in terms of like you actually put together a production and make a movie out of it, just because the era of musicals ended so long ago, and I don't think they have recovered, even though, Chicago won Best Picture, and people thought that might be a revival. That never really happened. The good thing about these pro shot things is that they're inexpensive to make, as long as you can get, and as long as you have a reason, like the original Broadway cast, which is what they did with Hadestown. They got the original Broadway cast and put them in the West End and filmed that. If there's a reason to do it, then yeah, it's an easy way to make money. Hadestown made a good amount of money for a production that probably did not cost that much to actually make. So hopefully we could see more of those. It would be nice to see a production of Book of Mormon filmed on the stage. The only problem is I don't know if you could do it with that cast, because
the original cast probably wouldn't want to do it, or they would have to
probably wouldn't want to do it at this point.
Yeah.
Would it make sense to do it? Yeah. Could you pay Josh Gad enough to revive that? Just knowing how
do
much
it for the
money
love of the game, I hope. But I do like that idea. You know that in New York City, Mark, with like a library card, you can go to, there's like a specific library that has pro shot stuff of like pretty much every musical, even ones that don't have releases. Like they just shoot them and put them in a library, and you can go watch them at the library in New York, which is
I have heard about that. There's also an online streaming service that has some of that too. And I thought about subscribing to that during COVID, and then just never got around to it because a lot of stuff going
phase
on
passed. For sure. And Hadestown has become a actual like hit. It's grossing. It's going to end up grossing more than I think the Hamilton movie if they end up leaving it in theaters longer than this little run. I wish I cared about it. I tried to watch it like 3 times at home and I couldn't get through it. I just wasn't, another week that I watched it, maybe I would have liked it, but it's one of those things. I just wasn't in the mood for it. So sorry to anyone who wanted my opinion on Hadestown. I guess my opinion is I don't like it because I couldn't get into it. But it is what it is. I'm sure it's very.
I enjoyed it. For what it is.
Yeah.
But unlike Hamilton, where I think they did enough stuff with the camera and the editing to make it feel like something cinematic to some degree, Hadestown, I watched that. I really just thought, man, this would be great to go to a live production of this and see that live and participate in it the way they clearly want people to. It just kind of gave me FOMO watching the movie, which I don't think they necessarily wanted.
Yeah, I think that's a problem with it too. End of Time Travel says they've seen one Greg Araki movie, Smiley Face with Anna Faris. Funny enough, stoner comedy.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
I love that. It's a great movie. I think it's very funny. I watched it right after Beau is Afraid, and it was just the same movie, except someone is stoned and they're scared of everything. But I had a coworker who would talk about the film Mysterious Skin and always ask us if we wanted to play the $5 game. We hated her so much. Do not look up the $5 game. That movie's fucked up. Yeah. Mysterious Skin's actually getting a 4K restoration. I just got an email about it. The other day.
It's getting reissued later this month. So
all right. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I haven't. So this is a good reason to maybe try to nab it to watch it.
Yeah, I'll definitely do the same thing. Chase Loves Film says, what a year we have been having so far. I agree. There's a lot of good ones. All right, here's Ed taking me to task for both of us. Good. I take a great deal of umbrage with you and Mark saying that Marvel movies need to be held to higher standards. Why? Brett hates these movies. There's no other way to say it. And before he was doing Rick and Morty, he didn't even watch a number of important MCU films like Infinity War and Endgame. Sure, there have been a few bad ones, but just throwing the MCU under the table while not discussing any of the specific good or bad of Brand New Day is probably why people are so mad about this review. But the reason I'm irked is because I feel like filmmakers like Nolan need to be held to higher standards, especially after Oppenheimer and other great movies. And watching The Odyssey twice, I found it wanting in so many aspects. But few critics will hold him to that high standard. No, in the case of Nolan, everything he does is genius, which is not true. Tenet was 2 movies ago. Anyway, that's my rant for this week. I'm smiling thinking of how mad Ed just got when I was saying Tenet's a 5-star movie.
Oh God, I didn't even know that.
The Odyssey criticism is crazy. I think that movie is not wanting in any way, but I respect your opinion, obviously. But I don't know, man. I do think we try to be reasonable with like why. Like Mark gave Spider-Man a lot of credit actually for doing what it did right, and I know I echoed some of that and didn't echo some of it, but I don't know. Maybe the higher standards thing was a mean thing to say, but it's just not. You're right. It's not my thing. I do wish like just watch him next to the Raimis and come back to me. I'm like, there's just like the juice isn't there in the same way. Like the storytelling beats are just not there. Like it's just a night and day different experience. And I just feel like maybe it is. I'm an old guy now, and it's like back in my day, movies used to be made real. They used to film them in places. Maybe there's something like that going on. But I don't know, man. I feel like there's already a backlash with the new Spider-Man. I don't know if your Twitter algorithm is showing you this shit, but for me, it's like a ton of tweets. Because again, I think it's just because of how popular it is. There's of course going to be people who don't like it, and I'm just seeing tweets being like, you guys gassed up this movie too much, and I'm like, oh, good, my pan is going to age nicely. That's how I feel.
I want to say that I did say I wish we held these Marvel movies to lower standards.
You did say that.
I said I wish a Spider-Man movie were about Spider-Man. That was what I said, and I wish more people would say like, why can't we have a Spider-Man movie?
I think I had that same line in my review on Yahoo or something like it, and they killed me for this.
I've been complaining about this with the Marvel movies for years. That I think a couple of reviews you can see the word incestuous being used, probably not in an appropriate way, but it was the way I felt, where you just keep bringing everything in so that the family is all getting together and playing around in this one movie, and it's not supposed to be about them. Anyway, I've been frustrated with that for a while, and this just brought all that back again.
All right, well, it was nice arguing with the comments a week late or whatever we do. So we'll be back next week. What's going on next week? Do you have anything off the top of your head?
Great question.
I know that we'll be covering the 2-week miss. So we'll be covering One Night Only, which Mark reviewed on his website. And what's the other one? The Last House.
Oh, The Last House. Thank you. The Netflix one.
And then next week, it looks like, oh my God, The Rivals of Amaziah King. Amaziah, I feel like, I forget how you pronounce it, but it's a movie that is from the guy who did The Vast of Night. It stars Matthew McConaughey, and it's so fucking good. I'm excited to talk about it. The End of Oak Street, I think, is also maybe next week. I'm missing the screening because I'm flying back the same day, but I'll catch it on Thursday.
Oh, good. I might have to do that too, so I don't feel so bad. I'm trying to figure out how that's working.
Yeah, it's a rare case where Warner Brothers invited me without asking. They never do that. And then there's Paw Patrol, the Dino movie, which I'm sure Mark is skipping because
I'm skipping.
I think Mark draws the line at toddler movies. I feel like children's movies are fine, but toddler movies you don't need to fuck around with those.
Yeah, I caught up with after they came out, the 2 Paw Patrol movies, or just the one. I don't remember. I didn't see the superhero
you did watch them? Oh my God.
I watched the first Paw Patrol movie, like, because it was, I don't remember when it showed up on Paramount. I watched it and I was like, there's no reason to
I'm good.
Do that.
I was correct not to watch
I did skip the most recent one, the superhero one, and as much as kid me would have loved dinosaurs, I'm gonna skip the Dino Paw Patrol movie.
We got invited to the screening, and if it was when we were in town, there's a chance I would have taken my kid to this because she's at the perfect age for Paw Patrol Dino movie. She would love it. she saw the trailer before Toy Story 5. She may have actually been scared by the trailer. If there's dinosaurs, she's into dinosaurs, but they have to be nice. So it depends how these dinosaurs are acting, I suppose. There's also apparently another
teach those dinosaurs to behave better.
There's apparently another musical, Pro Shot.
Yep, Six
the musical, which I've heard a lot about.
Yep.
So if you can get that, I will need a contact, I think, because I don't think I have that. And then Union County, I don't think I have that either. So, or maybe I do actually. I think I might have that one. I have to look.
You probably do.
That's a Will Poulter joint. So okay, there's some stuff. Now I'm just rambling. We'll be back next week with all those movies. Goodbye.